everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into. Among the topics will be the Pirates with a new GM. He starts work tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But there's no question what the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be, and that is the Steelers. Not only the loss, but what happened in the last 10 seconds of that game, featuring Myles Garrett and the helmet swinging incident. Here's your panel left to right on your television screen here for you. And we have Will Graves, outstanding journalist with the Associated Press to the far left. In the middle, Ron Cook with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and, of course, host of the Cook and Joe show every day from 10 to 2 on The Fan. And Mark Kaboly, who does an outstanding job covering the Steelers for The Athletic. All right, so get right into it now. Punishment, did it fit the crime here, Ron Cook, when it comes to Myles Garrett? He got an indefinite suspension, which we assume is the whole season and then some.
Oh, absolutely. That part of it fit the crime. I think they might have missed with Pouncey a little bit. I might have given him 2 instead of 3, and I think they missed what's the guy's name that pushed pushed Rudolph down from behind. He only got 1. I would have given him 2. I think Rudolph is going to get a fine, and I have no problem with that. So, other than a little strong for Pouncey and a little light for the other guy, I'm okay with it.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think they did enough, to be honest with you. I think it needs to go well into next season for a suspension for Myles Garrett. I mean, this is a league that has been absolutely locked on trying to prevent any sort of helmet injuries or head injuries, and now you're to have a guy belting somebody's head with a helmet. Like, that is just absolutely crazy. I mean, you have a half a twist of Myles Garrett's arm, and who knows what happens. There's a crack in his skull, and who knows what. I think it's absolutely too late.
But I think you don't know that it might be
about
the long
difference.
next year.
You know, I don't want to be over dramatic here, but I mean, we're sort of arguing about the difference between, like, you know, manslaughter and murder. I mean, yes, potentially it could have been catastrophic. It wasn't. It sucked, and I believe if the longest was 5 games for Haynesworth, and this is going to be at least 7, I would say if you could tack 3 on at the beginning of next season, I think double that is fine. This is I thought, and the way the league acted, to me, sending out the message 12 hours after the game, I think even less than that or about that time, I think that sends the message to the players that, hey, this is not going to be tolerated. My problem with it is, and Mark just brought it up, the league has been trying. What I found more troubling in that game than that incident, which I'll be honest with you, I was surprised has not happened more frequently in NFL history, was the hit on Deontay Johnson. That was the problem. Those are the kinds of hits, and I know the guy got ejected, but when you see a player walking off the field and his blood's coming out of his ear, that stuff happens in every NFL game. I am much more concerned about the league policing that effectively than this, what I consider to be a singular event.
Well, but the other thing is, Deontay Johnson, I agree with you, never did change his target. The guy went right for his head and hit his head.
Right.
All right, let me go back on that a little bit now, because Mason Rudolph is going to get fined. We heard that. But, Mark, there are a lot of people out there who think he started this whole thing and want him to be suspended. What was his role? Did he get off easy if it's just a fine?
No, absolutely. First of all, you can't suspend a guy that got smacked over the head with a helmet. First of all, that's #1. And don't even tell me that he instigated it. He got thrown to the ground and got laid on. Was he upset because he might have been sacked and thrown 4 picks before that? Sure. But once you have a guy on top of you, man, the rules are basically out, man. You're trying to defend yourself. You're trying to get out. You're trying to do whatever you can to free yourself from somebody sitting on top of you ready to pounce on you. So that's ridiculous to even consider that he had anything to do with this. He's lucky he didn't do anything more.
I would totally disagree that he didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, he escalated it when he really didn't have to. I'm not saying he should be suspended by any stretch of the imagination, but he went back after the guy, escalated the fight. Didn't have to do that necessarily. I'm not blaming him. I understand it. The same thing with Pouncey. Pouncey's being hailed as a hero all over the NFL, but he couldn't do what he did. You can't kick a guy down, and he said he was protecting him. Well, I mean, wasn't DeCastro on top of Garrett at that point? He's kicking a defenseless guy. I get it. I understand it, but I have no problem with Rudolph being fined and Pouncey being suspended.
I mean, Rudolph is hardly the first quarterback that's ever jawed with a defensive player. You know, and he's hardly the first quarterback that's ever gotten tangled up with a defensive player. He is the first quarterback that ever got swung at with a helmet. And to be honest with you, as far as the fine goes, I would have the offensive line should be responsible. They should divide up 5, 6 ways if you want to count the tight ends. and have them pay the fine, because the reason that Mason was so heated is because those guys could not keep Garrett out of the backfield all night, which is one of the reasons this happened in the first place.
I want to ask either one of you two questions. If you're on the ground and somebody picks you up by your helmet and rips it off, you're going to say, oh, okay, let me walk over here and
Didn't Rudolph grab his helmet first?
Well, he tried to grab his helmet because he was laying on top of him.
You know, that stuff happens. I get it, Mark. I'm not saying a suspension, but you can't tell me he had no role in this and shouldn't be fined. A fine is nothing to these guys, and I mean, I have no problem with that.
All right, well, bottom line is a lot of people out there think that Rudolph should be. I disagree, and I agree with Ron. I don't think it should rise to a level of a suspension. And I think, okay, he's frustrated, but it is what it is. There's another component to this, and it is Will Graves, and some people believe it should go outside of the NFL and it should become a criminal assault charge. Now, if you look at that for what it is, and if it was someplace outside of the actual field of play, it would be looked at that way. Are you of the belief that that is good for a game to allow it to get, into a criminal activity, or should the NFL just control?
I think there's got to be a line, and look, what Garrett did was absolutely across the line of what is acceptable on a football field. I don't think anybody with any sense is saying that was acceptable behavior, but I mean, maybe I've just watched too much hockey. Maybe I've been around hockey too often. I mean, I seem to remember in the playoffs 2-3 years ago, Matt Niskanen literally cross-checking Sid across the face. And he got a 1-game suspension or a couple. That's what happened on Thursday night. It's like an average Tuesday in hockey. It's an average Tuesday. So I just don't think it wasn't far enough down the line that I think you need to start having cops doing this. Because let's be honest, there's violence every single play in the league.
But it's within the rules. I mean, you sign up for that. You don't sign up for being hit on the head with a helmet.
I don't like the courts getting involved in the league's business. I like to see the league take care of its own. And I think by suspending Garrett for as long as they did, it's going to cost him millions. It's going to cost him his reputation, going to cost his team, and it might, as Mark said, maybe should extend into next year. I don't want to see the courts get involved. I really don't. I get it why some people do. I want the leagues to manage their own business.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Even 20 years ago with the Marty McSorley incident up in Vancouver, I didn't like that. It seems like it should be separated, sports and something else. So
how about if a player wants to pursue it? How about if a player, I know Mason Rudolph isn't, but how about if he says, you know what, I'm going after him?
I would say, Bob, if he got severely hurt.
Right.
But he walked away.
How do you know it doesn't? You've seen brain injuries happen later after the incident took place.
Well, I mean, then AB should sue Vontaze Burfict.
Maybe.
Gene Collier had a great column today about AB and what trauma might have done to him. So it's such a slippery slope, Bob, that I just have a hard time. What's going to become legal? What's going to become, what's going to be illegal?
It's been up there. A lot of people are talking about it. I just thought it would be an interesting point. All right, we're going to continue with the Steelers coming up because we're going to talk about the actual performance, which nobody seems to be talking about, and that could be of even bigger concern. But before I do that, hey, listen, if you're looking to pick up a car that can't miss, a number one car, a new car for you, you got to check out Number One Cochran's Black Cyber Sales event. It's their best Black Friday and Cyber Monday offers all together in one huge sale. It's coming at you every day through December the 2nd. Plus, you're going to get a $500 Visa gift card with any new car purchase or lease. It's the Black Cyber Sales event. It's going on right now at Number One Cochran stores, or you can do it online with Expressway at Cochran.com. We'll be right back with more Steeler Talk next. The Number One Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by Number One Cochran. Go one better. And by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.